Hi, this is DJ Lou, and this is my long-term review of the Soundcraft Ui16. I happen to own a pair of Soundcrafts. This happens to be my reception rig. I have a ceremony rig as well. And as a solo wedding DJ, there's absolutely no way I could do all the things that I do without this device, and especially at its price point and all the features that it offers. There's nothing else on the market like it. And just as a preface, I definitely do not work for Soundcraft. I do not work for Harman. I paid for my units. I've been using these for a while. When I first got my units, I had some problems. There was connectivity issues, and a few people had that. But I also had a hardware issue, and Soundcraft was absolutely great in swapping out my units. And ever since I had that replaced, and Soundcraft had started finally working on the stability issues, this thing is just incredible. So what does make this thing incredible? Well, for starters, this is my emergency playback device. So here's a USB thumb drive that has all my files for the day. I can put it in as WAV, FLAC, ALAC, MP3, AAC, OGG. I haven't found a file format that this cannot play back. And this has saved my butt a couple times. I've had equipment failures in the past. I just press play and I am good to go. I can troubleshoot my issues while this thing is, saving my butt and allowing everybody to still have a good time while I figure out what's going on. I can also record everything in WAV format, and I do record all my sets, and if there's ever a videographer in play, I pass those files off to them. It's mixed from the source, so it's as clean as possible as it can get to them. I've had a lot of appreciative videographers refer me just because I can provide this service. I can mix in live bands. I can take a mic box like this, plug in a few channels, and still have plenty of channels to work with. In total, there's 12 right off the bat, 8 with combo inputs, another 4 with XLR. I've got also RCAs. I've got 4 XLR outs and 2 quarter jacks that I can do different things. I can make them aux channels. I can just have them as standard outputs. 2 XLR outs as well. And how I have this working right now, I have my first auxiliary channel plugged into my in-ear monitor, which then allows me a full auxiliary channel where I can mix in my mic, I can control all my playback, and this thing works so great where I'm walking around a cocktail hour and I have my wireless receivers on speakers. I have 2 of those that I can operate right now. And simply, if the crowd's voices start going down, I don't want the music to overpower them. I just simply scroll down and tune out the music just a little bit. The crowd picks up in voice, and I just scroll it right back up. I have gotten so many compliments of being able to keep that constant level of music, so it's just not blaring in their ears. People can have conversations, and a lot of that is I can adjust that in real time, walk around a crowd and just adjust as needed. Speaking of being able to adjust, this is controllable via a browser. You can have your laptop, your desktop, a tablet, in my case an iPad mini that controls this. There is a built-in router, and this is actually probably one of its weakest spots. Its router is just not that great. You can get a high dBi gain antenna for it. It actually sticks up usually about this high. It definitely gives you some range, but I've found that just hooking up an inexpensive ABG router gives me far more distance. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have a Netgear in back. I just put some double-sided tape on it, slapped it on the back, and I usually can walk any distance within a venue and have complete control of my system. The same goes for my ceremony system as well. I can actually run both in tandem and just control them both from the one iPad. I just switch the access point and control what needs to be controlled. So let's jump over to my desktop now and get a clearer shot of what controls you have on the interface. So here's the application, and as I mentioned before, this is browser-based, so you can use this on any operating system, any modern browser. This will work. And we're going to go through kind of how I set up each piece right now. Given this is my reception rig that we're connected to, I already have the first main channel. This is my main microphone, and if you're using this on a tablet or whatnot, this is all touch sensitive, so you can change your faders at will. It's very, very responsive, no lag whatsoever. As you see, you can actually see my voice bouncing right now on it. Even though the channel's muted, you can actually see the input that's coming in on that channel. If you go to unmute it, you'll see what the difference is between the signal coming in and any gain or anything that you've attributed to that channel. To get to the gain, all you have to do is hit mix gain, and when you're in the mix gain piece, you can actually fine-tune each channel. You can invert polarity if you need to. The first two channels do have high Z enabling, disabling. The rest of the channels do not. Once you're in the mix gain section, you can see the first two channels have high Z capabilities. All channels you can inverse polarity. I have heard some people complain that especially the first two channels are noisy. They have noisy preamps. I personally haven't noticed this, but again, I'm not using a super sensitive microphone, so just be aware of that little tidbit of information. So you can individually control each channel, and with that you can change the gain, you can change the gate. There is a lot of customability you can do on each, and to be honest, I don't do most of these. If I'm doing an occasional live band, I might tweak things out just a little bit to kind of add a little warmth or whatnot to it, add a little reverb, but for the most part this stays pretty flat. You can also change the EQ curve on each, and this is where you'll see I've actually set this particular curve for my handheld microphones, and it's pretty aggressive, but I've set this up to kind of overall almost anybody talking to it, and then kind of tweak it if somebody happens to have a really low voice, a really high voice. On my Sennheiser microphones, I had to ring out this just above 1K point, and you can do a lot of customization. You can adjust the Q curve on it, very, very broad to very, very finite. You can change your high pass filter. It gives you a lot of pieces against this to work with. And there's also a real-time analyzer. So especially if you're ringing out something, you'll actually be able to see that frequency right off the bat, and then cut that out. So in addition to all this, there's also your master channel that you can go in, set your EQ, and this is also where you would set up your automatic feedback suppression. You can turn it on, and as you can see, I've already had a couple instances where it did clip things out. You can set this all up to either have it fixed, you can have it live. There's so many different elements that you can control. I tend to kind of keep this as default as possible and let the system take over where need be. So a big feature that allows me to do what I do as a solo DJ is the ability to also play back on this device. So for every first dance, I always queue up their song. So this way, if something fails, all I have to do is press play and we're ready to go. And this has actually saved my butt a couple times where I had Serato crashing or I had a piece of failure of equipment, and there was virtually no interruption. Nobody knew what was going on. I played off my Soundcraft until I got everything back in order and switched back over. So this is true also for dancing, where I'll either pull up a song or I'll even pull up an entire mix that I've already made. And again, if something fails on the top end, all I have to do is hit play. I troubleshoot the issues that I'm working with, whether it's swapping out my laptop or rebooting. I come back in, I will beat match back into the song that's currently playing and transition right over to my normal setup. And again, I haven't had too many instances of it, but when it has failed, this thing has saved my butt. There's no question about it. So there's a video, and if you liked it, go ahead, hit subscribe, share out this video, thumbs it up, do whatever social media is telling you to do right now. This is DJ Lou. Thanks for watching.